I teased him playfully in front of his colleagues when I saw his face. My smile quickly faded. I've been a Reddit lurker for a long time, but this is my first time actually posting. I wish it were under better circumstances, but I fear I might have just ruined my life, my marriage, everything. I don't know what to do. Honestly, I'm looking for any advice I can get. I know I'll probably get a lot of criticism here for what I did, and maybe I deserve it, but if anyone has any helpful suggestions, I'd appreciate it. My name is Evelyn, I'm 34, and my husband's name is Ryan, he's 33. We've been married for about 7 years, and overall we were a great couple at the beginning. We were the kind of couple everyone admired. Inseparable and always on the same wavelength. Ray and I used to be so close and so affectionate. He's the kind of man who goes above and beyond to make his partner feel loved. I never had to question his feelings for me. He's always been the romantic type, surprising me with little gifts, planning elaborate date nights, and leaving sweet notes around the house for me to find. I could never have asked for a better partner. Rai has this calm and thoughtful nature that has always balanced out my more spontaneous personality. Let's be honest, when I get too worked up about something, he's always the one who can calm me down, get me to see reason, and help me focus on the positive. That's one of the reasons I fell in love with him so deeply. I've always felt like we were a perfect match, and we've been through a lot together, moving cities, changes in jobs, family struggles, but no matter what, Rai was always there, steady and reliable. Like any marriage, we've had our ups and downs. The honeymoon phase was magical, but as time went on, we settled into a routine. At first, it was comforting knowing I had someone I could count on. No matter what, things have changed lately. We've changed the closeness we once had, and it's becoming harder to maintain it. It's like life has been slowly pulling us apart without either of us noticing until it was too late. I don't know exactly when it started, but the small affectionate moments began to fade. He was still the sweet, romantic guy he'd always been, but it felt like the spark we used to have was dimming. I guess I became complacent. I assumed that we were solid, and that even though things weren't as exciting as they used to be, we'd be fine. The truth is, though, I've been feeling restless, not just with our relationship, but I wasn't dealing with my issues. Instead of addressing them or being honest about how I was feeling, I made a huge mistake. I can't take it back. I'll explain everything, but I'm terrified that I might have done irreparable damage to our relationship. I don't know how to fix this. I don't even know if I can fix this. It's like we never truly realize what we're doing until it's too late. We never understand how hurtful our habits are until we're forced to confront the damage. Looking back, I didn't realize just how cruel my words were or how much pain they caused. Ray, I used to think I was just teasing him, making jokes like everyone else. I didn't realize at the time, but now I can see how I mocked him in our relationship. I chipped away at his confidence without even noticing. It was always small things I thought were harmless, but they added up over time. I mocked him about everything: his forgetfulness, his driving skills, his hobbies, appearance, even cooking. Rai is the kind of person who gets really excited about learning new things. Whenever he'd try his hand at something like cooking dinner or picking up a new hobby, I'd find a way to turn it into a joke. I thought it was funny, but now I realize it probably made him feel inadequate. I made fun of everything he did, even his work achievements, which meant a lot to him. He'd come home proud after finishing a project, but instead of celebrating with him, I'd make sarcastic comments like, "Finally done? I thought you'd be working on that forever." It was second nature to me. I also made fun of his plans for the future. Ray is a dreamer. He's always been one to think ahead and imagine new goals for himself. Instead of supporting him, I'd say things like, "Are you sure you want to take on another project? You won't finish it." I thought I was being funny, but what I was really doing was telling him I didn't believe in him and that I didn't think he'd succeed. I was basically telling him I didn't believe in him and that I didn't think he could succeed. I even mocked him for being sentimental. He'd bring up old memories like the time we first met or our wedding day, and I'd laugh and say, "Oh, you're such a softie. I don't even remember half the things you do." I didn't realize how much it hurt him. I didn't realize how much those moments mattered to him. I also didn't realize how hurtful it was for me to dismiss them like that. I guess deep down I took advantage of him because I knew he loved me, and he never complained. He'd smile or maybe roll his eyes, but he never said anything about how my words made him feel. So I kept doing it. I took advantage of his patience because it was easier to make jokes than to actually connect. I grew up in a house where men were expected to be strong and masculine, and showing emotion or being sensitive was a sign of weakness. My father was that typical man's man who always had to be in control, and I think I unconsciously carried that expectation into my relationship with Rai. I brought that expectation into my relationship with Ray. I thought I was just being playful, but I was actually belittling the man I loved. I was trying to make him fit into this outdated idea of what a man should be. Ray isn't like my father. He's sensitive, thoughtful, and romantic. Instead of appreciating those qualities, I mocked them. I ended up mocking his sentimentality, his softness, and his willingness to show emotion. I didn't understand how valuable those traits really are. I didn't see how lucky I was to have someone like him in my life. And it wasn't just in private. I mocked him everywhere, even at family dinners. I'd make fun of him in front of everyone. I remember once when he was telling my family about this bookshelf he built, I made a joke about how long it took him and how many times he had to go back to the store. Everyone laughed, but Ray's smile faded. I brushed it off, thinking it was no big deal, but now I realize how humiliating that must have been for him. I did the same thing at the gym. Ray's not a big guy. He's more of the intellectual type. And I'd make jokes when he struggled with heavier weights, saying things like, "Don't hurt yourself, Superman." It was all meant to be playful, but I can only imagine how small it made him feel. I even did it in front of his colleague way before this new job. There was a work event, and I made some joke about how Ray always overthinks things and takes forever to make decisions. Everyone laughed, and I didn't notice the hurt in his eyes. I had no idea how much pressure he already felt to prove himself at work, and here I was. I made a joke about how Ray always overthinks things and takes forever to make decisions in front of his colleague, way before this new job. Everyone laughed, but I didn't notice the hurt in his eyes. I had no idea how much pressure he already felt to prove himself at work, and here I was. I was undermining him in front of the people he wanted to impress. I did it with our friends, too. I can't count the number of times I made some cruel remark about his forgetfulness or teased him for losing his keys. I thought it was harmless, but those little jabs were moments where I tried to get a laugh at his expense. They weren't harmless, they were hurtful. I see that now. The worst part is that Rai never stood up for himself. He never called me out on my behavior or told me how much it hurt him. He probably took it because he loved me so much and didn't want to start a fight. I took advantage of that. I let myself believe that it was okay. I thought that because he never said anything, it was okay, but it wasn't. Looking back, I can see how I was slowly breaking him down piece by piece with my constant mockery. I hate myself for it. I didn't fully grasp how bad things had got until the office incident. Ray had just started a new job, one he was really excited about. Ray had been talking about it for weeks, telling me how much he liked the team and how the atmosphere was different from his last workplace. When a work party was planned, he decided to take me as his plus one, thinking it would be a good idea for me to meet his new colleagues. He was really proud of this new opportunity. I could tell that he wanted to show me off, and I was happy for him. I guess I didn't realize just how important that night was for him. The party started off fine. Everyone was friendly, and I could see how much Ray fit in with the team. Then, as the drinks started flowing, I began to let loose. I don't know why, but I guess being in a social setting always brought out this ugly habit in me. I started making little comments about Ray. At first, it was just playful teasing, or at least that's what I told myself. I thought I was being funny and even charming. But as the alcohol loosened my inhibitions, I didn't stop. I kept going, mocking him in front of his colleagues. I pointed out all the things I usually joked about at home: his forgetfulness, his awkwardness, social settings, and even his enthusiasm for his new job. I could see Ray's face tighten as I kept talking, but I didn't let him lead me away or give him mine. I thought I was just being playful and trying to be the life of the party. The problem was, I didn't know when to quit. I made one comment that I realized now was incredibly hurtful. I said something about how Rai tends to overanalyze everything and how it took him weeks to decide on what shoes to wear. On his first day of work, he still ended up looking weird the minute I said it. I felt the room shift. His colleagues, who had been laughing politely up to that point, suddenly looked uncomfortable. The laughter died down, and everyone exchanged awkward glances. Ray's face, oh God, I'll never forget. The look on his face was priceless. His expression changed in an instant, and it immediately made my smile disappear. He had this cold, hard look that I'd never seen before. His eyes were flat, emotionless, and his face turned frosty, almost like a stranger's. It was like I'd crossed some invisible line, and suddenly the man I knew, the man I loved, was gone for the rest of the night. Rai avoided me. He barely spoke to me, didn't stand next to me, and whenever I tried to approach him, he just turned away. I thought maybe he was just cooling off, that we'd talk. I didn't get into it with him that night, but as the evening went on, I started to realize that this wasn't just a minor disagreement. It was something much bigger than I'd anticipated. When it was time to go home, I looked for Ray, ready to leave and hoping we could talk about what happened, but I couldn't find him. I searched the venue, inside and out, and even in the restroom, but he was gone. I started to panic, realizing he'd left me there without a word. He just left me at a party full of his new colleagues. I was mortified. I had to Uber home by myself, and that ride back felt like the longest journey of my life. I sat there in the back seat, my mind racing. I kept replaying the night in my head, going over every word I had said and every time I had laughed at Rise's expense. It was only then that I started to understand the gravity of what I had done. I had embarrassed him. In front of the people he was trying to make a good impression on, I realized that I had been mocking and humiliating him every day, and I hadn't stopped even when I saw the look in his eyes. By the time I got home, I was filled with dread. The house was dark, and Ray wasn't there. He hadn't come home. I sat in our living room waiting, hoping he would. I thought he'd come home, and we could talk, so that I could apologize, but there was no sign of him. That's when it really hit me. I'd crossed a line, and I wasn't sure if I could ever go back. Rai finally came home the next morning, and when I heard the front door creak open, I was really excited to see him and apologize for what I'd done. I wanted to make things right and fix things. I'd spent the whole night thinking about what I should say to him. But as soon as I saw him, my smile disappeared. He looked angry and unfriendly. He didn't seem like himself. I felt really cold as he walked through the house getting ready for work. I tried to talk to him, but he didn't acknowledge my presence. He seemed focused and distant, which made me feel invisible. I'd made breakfast his favorite, but he didn't even glance at the food I'd prepared. Instead, he grabbed his bag and slipped on his shoes, completely ignoring me. Just before leaving, he turned to me and delivered a blow that I wasn't prepared for. He said he wanted me out of the house. I was blindsided. I'd never seen this coming. The words hit me like a physical blow, and I stood there speechless and in shock. He turned away and he walked out the door, leaving me in stunned silence. I reached for my phone and started texting him, trying to explain how sorry I was and that I never meant to hurt him. But each message went unanswered, which made me feel even more anxious. I decided I wasn't going to leave. I was sure I could convince him to forgive me if only he would talk to me. I stayed home, pacing the living room and rehearsing my apologies. I was waiting for Rai to return from work when he finally walked through the door after a long day. My heart lifted momentarily, but that hope quickly faded when I saw his expression. He wasn't happy to see me. It reminded me that he'd told me to leave and that he was done with being mocked and embarrassed by me. I needed him to listen and understand my genuine remorse. I pleaded with him to tell me why he was so upset, despite all my efforts. He was still so angry with each attempt I made to explain myself. It felt like we were speaking different languages. I could see that he was shutting me out. After a long, painful back and forth, I finally realized that I was losing him. Eventually, he made it clear that he wanted me to pack my things and go. I was in shock. I packed a bag and felt this huge sense of defeat wash over me. I cried a lot. I wanted him to see how devastated I was, but he just ignored me. I went to my friend's place and have been crashing here since. I really don't know what to do or how to fix this. I feel completely lost. I keep replaying everything that happened over and over in my mind. Every mocking comment. Every time I joked at Ray's expense. I didn't think it was that big of a deal at the time, but I can see now how much it must have hurt him. Having my friends around is a little comforting, but it doesn't change the fact that I'm away from Rai. I keep worrying about him, how he's feeling, what he's doing. Is he okay? Is he angry? Has he made a mistake? I know he's already moved on, but the thought of losing him completely makes me feel sick. I want to fix this. I want to apologize and show him how much he means to me, but I'm scared it might be too late. I know I have to change the way I treat him, but how can I convince him that I really want to, but I never meant to hurt him? Now I feel like I've messed up everything. I've been talking to my friend about what happened and trying to get some advice, but nothing seems to help. Should I give Ray some space or should I reach out again? What if he really means it when he says he wants me out of his life? The uncertainty is killing me, so Reddit, I'm asking for your advice. How do I talk to him after all this? How do I show him that I can change and that I truly care? I can't stand the thought of losing my husband over my reminiscence. I've been getting a lot of advice on here, and I really appreciate it. I just wanted to give you all an update. As I said in my original post, I knew I would get a lot of responses, but I didn't expect it to be quite so overwhelming. I've even had people asking me for updates. I'm updating you all, first of all, to say that I'm still at my friend's place, but my time there is running out. It's not a permanent solution, and I can't keep imposing on her. It's difficult to live out of a suitcase and feel like a guest in someone else's home. I've been trying to figure things out, but it's tough. It seems like unless Rai comes to his senses, a divorce is in the works. I've reached out to him multiple times, hoping for a chance to talk things through, but he keeps shutting me down. He's made it clear that he's done with me and wants a divorce. Hearing those words is like a punch to the gut. I never thought we would be at this point. What hurts even more is that nobody seems to want to intervene. Neither my siblings nor his are stepping in. Even our parents are supporting him in this, which it feels really isolating. It's like I'm fighting this battle completely alone. Our mutual friends seem to be on his side too, which adds to the loneliness. I don't know how to navigate this. I feel like everyone is against me now. I'm left to try to piece my life back together. Together, we're actively looking for a new place to stay and trying to make plans for what comes next. I'm hoping RI will see sense and maybe reconsider, but honestly, I'm getting tired. I'm tired of waiting and worrying. I just want to fix things, but it feels like I'm chasing a ghost. I'd also like to thank everyone who reached out with kind words and advice. It means a lot to know that some people understand. I just wish Ray could see my side too. I'll keep you all posted, but for now, I'm just trying to hold on and figure out what my next steps will be. Update, I moved back in with my parents. Let me tell you, living with them has been annoying. They keep going on about what a good guy Rai is like. It's some kind of consolation prize for me. They support him wholeheartedly, and it's really frustrating to hear. I get that they want to be supportive, but it feels like a constant reminder of my mistakes and how I've let everyone down. I could really use some understanding right now, but it seems like everyone is on his side. On top of everything, I got served. It was pretty I can understand why Rai wants to end things between us, but I'm still surprised. We've been together for 7 years, so I thought we could work things out. Maybe we could even go to counseling or therapy. But it feels like he's chosen to throw it all away. I'm trying to stay positive, though. I've been going over everything in my mind, trying to understand how we got here. Was I really that terrible? Did I hurt him so deeply that he can't see the possibility of forgiveness? I just want him to realize that we could fix this and that I could change. It's so painful to think that he doesn't see the value in our relationship anymore. So yeah, I'm just feeling really lost right now. I know I messed up, but I didn't think it would cost me everything. I just wish things could be different. I'm trying to pick up the pieces, but it's hard when it feels like everything is crumbling around me. Thanks for your support, even if it's just a little. It really helps to know I'm not alone in this, even if it feels like it sometimes. Update, hey Reddit, it's me. I know it's been a while since I last updated you. I've been really busy, which is why I couldn't update sooner. Then I accidentally got logged out of my account, so here we are. I do have a bit of an update though. There's something I should have shared months ago. First, the divorce has been finalized. Yes, you read that right. Ray went ahead and threw us away. 7 years of marriage gone in 1 hour in the courtroom. It's surreal to think about. We didn't have any kids, so there was no child support nonsense to deal with. Thankfully, neither of us qualified for spousal support or alimony, and we didn't have any debts to split, so it was a pretty quick process. Even so, it was painful. I thought I would spend the rest of my life with him, and now it's all just over. I will never forgive him for this. I keep replaying the moments leading up to the divorce in my head, trying to figure out how we got here. How could he choose to end everything so easily? It feels like a betrayal, and I'm still struggling to wrap my head around it. I didn't think it would end this way. The finality of it all hit me hard. I've been struggling to cope. I don't have enough money to move out and get my own place, so I'm stuck here with my parents and brother and his family. It's become really intense. I don't even have my own privacy anymore. It feels suffocating every time I try to find a moment of peace. Someone is always around. It's hard to focus on my own feelings when I'm surrounded by both. It's always noisy and chaotic. I'm still trying to save money, which is my main focus at the moment. I'm working extra hours whenever I can to put together enough for a deposit on a place of my own. I just want to get out of here and start rebuilding my life, but it feels like such a daunting task. I keep reminding myself that I need to be strong and keep moving forward, but some days it's harder than others. I feel myself slipping and losing my mind. I miss Ray, and I hate myself for ruining things.